Hello, my name is Alexi. This is the chapter 14, 15, 16 takeaway for public speaking. And the few things that I learned from this weren't really from chapters 14 and 15, which were about introductions and conclusions, them being respective. 14, from chapter 14, introductions, I learned a little bit of mainly how to do the hook and how to really get the audience to feel like they're being engaged by starting off with a quote or a funny anecdote or a fun fact that will probably, intrigue your audience to hopefully get them to listen to the rest of your speech and not just sit there and fall asleep. For the conclusion, it's mainly what I was taught in school, so do a little bit of a wrap up, repeat your points, do a call to action, your basic stuff. But chapter 16 really appealed to me because it taught me how to use language. So in the previous video I made on, I forgot the chapters, 14, I think it was like 13, chapter 13, it was talking about appealing to your different audiences. And I feel like using your different speech and language, it really reflects upon that idea. So one of these, what this chapter was talking about was overcomplicating your words. So they were saying that you don't want to use that because the more complicated you do it, then the harder it is for your audience to really understand the point you're trying to get at. I know at points it sounds fancy, it sounds really nice, intricate, but your audience really wants to understand the point you're getting at and not really how you're getting to that point. So this brings me back to the previous video where I was talking about how different ages and different cultural backgrounds and different ethnic backgrounds really contrast in the way you should be giving your speech. So let's say you have a wealthy upper class audience, right? This is where I would talk slower, more in a more intricate manner, using more intricate words instead of as the chapter says, instead of look, it's like behold, gaze, glimpse, instead of walk, stride, amble, and so on. But if it's like a younger audience, such as middle schoolers, maybe even high schoolers at this point, and people from a different cultural background who don't know English as well, I would stick to those basic words such as look, walk, throw, so they better understand the point you're trying to get at. Besides that, I did also learn about the different sort of languages, such as concrete language and abstract language. So concrete language being the basic words that you have, and the abstract is more broad, more intricate in a specific situation and scenario. Also, figures of speech. Again, I would use, depending on your audience, I would use different figures of speech. If they're a common figure of speech, I would use that again with all your audiences, but if it's a more niche, I would use it with that for sort of people who know English better than most. There's a lot of, again, things we learned in ELA, in language courses in high school, where they talk about rhetoric, figurative language to better appeal to your audience, to show that you care about what you're talking about, so you compare it, so you give them a better idea of what to really understand and expect from your speech. So instead of just giving an example, so instead of just talking about a topic, you give an example about that topic, or you make a little joke about it to keep them engaged with irony or, onomatopoeia or personification. So you just keep the audience engaged, keep them interested, and, make the experience of listening to a speech more enjoyable. But other than that, there's nothing much I found or learned interesting from these 3 chapters, since I already learned most of them in my high school courses. But it was a pretty interesting read to learn about the more specifics of developing your speech, is specifically your introduction and conclusion, as well as your language itself. So that was that. Thank you.